Hi everyone, welcome to .NET online webinar about the Microsoft Azure AZ-104 certification exam. Today we are having Mr. Vikas Kumar. He is a expert in delivering the consulting and the training over the same topic. Yeah, Mr. Vikas, please introduce yourself.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mr. Surender. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening from different parts of the world from where you are joining. And Mr. Surender, can you confirm, are you able to see my slide? Everything is perfect?
Yeah, we can see. Please share your screen. It's fine.
O- Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. So, hello, everyone. So, myself, let's start with the introduction. And myself, Vikas, and I have 17 years experience into IT training consulting, and I'm a part of .NET Tricks as a consultant trainer, where I deal with Azure and Azure Infrastructure and Azure Security trainings via .NET Tricks. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar and give opportunity to talk on Azure. So I have 17 year experience into IT training. I do trainings on worldwide clients, including servers, Active Directory, SCCM, and O365, including Azure and Azure Security. I'm a MCT regional lead from Microsoft and doing trainings on various Microsoft certification track to the worldwide customers. I'm certified from 2003 onwards and certified trainer from last 14 years onwards. So welcome again. And in this topic, in this webinar, I'm going to talk about Azure as a introduction and some information about virtual machine, virtual networks, and some billing part as well, and how to do this deployment with couple of small demos as well, along with uh, certification information, how you can gain knowledge on Azure and what are the importance component comes into Azure certification and what are the benefits of gaining knowledge on Azure. So, so first information is cloud computing. So as you know, we are working towards cloud infrastructure and cloud. So we have three different companies who is dealing in mainly with the cloud business: AWS, uh, Azure, and Google Cloud. So here I'm talking about on Azure. So so any company who is providing cloud benefits or cloud offering, so they should provide some capabilities into the cloud. So inside the cloud, we have 300 plus technologies, which includes compute, storage, networking, analytics, load balancer, firewall. We have lots of components comes into the cloud. So as I said, cloud contains 300 plus technologies and which fit into the cloud. But any cloud offering comes with some benefits. So benefits are your high availability. um, So high availability Microsoft manage. So take example when you compare about on-premises infrastructure where your servers workloads are uh, you manage, you purchase the hardware, you manage the hardware high availability, you manage your hardware downtime. So in this case, when you deploy servers in cloud, Microsoft will take care the backend hardware. So you can increase and decrease the configuration of a server based on the workloads. So this is very difficult job in on-premises. Suppose you purchase a server with some course on a Dell server, and tomorrow the requirement is to upgrade the hardware. It's a very long, lengthy process in a production environment. We raise a request and it goes to the procurement. Procurement will approve. Then Dell will give us some upgrade hardwares, and then we upgrade the hardware for on-premises servers. But now here in cloud, it's like a single click. We can increase and decrease the size of the virtual machine. So we can expand your business reach, global reach to worldwide regions. So we have 44 to 54 data centers regions available in world. So disaster recovery, very easily we can do a disaster recovery enhancement or configuration. So in case if your one of the VM in one of the region is down, we can have a DR set up to another region. So increase and decrease security we can implement very easily in cloud. So it means, and on top it's a pay as you go. You're not paying any upfront cost to the Microsoft. And like in on premises, you spend million-dollar rupees to build a data center and then use it as an environment. But now in cloud, you are not paying any upfront cost, and you are paying only the usage cost, running cost, that to be on per minute basis. So it means you can save the cost when you are not using it. You can downgrade the VMs or shut down the VMs in non-production hours and save some lots of cost. So when you talk about 300 plus technologies in cloud, so we divide the overall cloud into three categories. One is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. So public cloud is like Azure, and as I said, no expenditure, no capital expenditure. Means you're not paying any cost, upfront cost to any provider, and only you are paying for the usage cost. So usage cost means how much time, minutes, hourly you are using, you have to pay for that. So and it quickly provisions and scale up and scale down, which I already explained to you. So in that case, when you are not paying any upfront cost and you are using only for usage cost, that kind of cloud infrastructure we called as public cloud. So private cloud is like you purchase the data center, you purchase for the hardwares, and then you given that data center access to one of the organization. They called as private cloud. So the main difference between public and private cost cloud is in public you're not paying any cost, upfront cost or hardware cost or maintenance cost. Only you are paying the usage cost. In private cloud, you are purchase the hardware, so you maintain them. So, but only thing is you are not paying the running cost because this is your own hardware. You already purchased that, so definitely you're not going to pay them on an hourly basis. And why it's called as private? Because that data center is linked with a particular organization. So if any company is using public Azure and they build their internal private cloud and mix of the both, then they called as hybrid cloud. So that's why they divide into three components. Now, when you talk about um, cloud technologies, which I talk about 300 plus technologies, VM, load balancer, and lots of stuff. So that technology uh, must fit into three components: either infrastructure as a service, either platform as a service, or either software as a service. So in on-premises, if you notice, you see, I'm managing everything. We purchase the hardware, networking, compute, VM, we install the OS application, we maintain everything. So right side, you see the blue and some different color combination. I don't know what is this color. So blue and different color. So different color means we manage everything. This is my responsibility to manage everything. But in the cloud, you see the blue things. Blue thing means Microsoft manage. I manage only small component. Let's talk about from software as a service, then PaaS, and then infrastructure. In software as a service, what is software as a service? If any cloud company, say Azure, is providing some application and where you no need to install the application, it's ready-made available or pre-installed, and you can use via URL tenant based. And tenant based means login via web access, per user license based, and you don't have any backend server access. Those kind of capabilities we called as software as a service. Example, O365. So when I log in with O365 and When I talk about O365, then it's a tenant based. So we have Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, Teams. We have other services in O365. So in this case, I'm not purchasing hardware, storage, anything. Microsoft will completely manage from the backend, and only they give a console access to me to manage the services. And that console access is like portal.office.com. So you also notice that if we hit what do you say portal.office.com, in that case we are in a position to let me go to my Chrome browser. That's more perfect in my opinion. So when I say
Hi guys. Guys, there is a disconnection issue from the Vikas side, so please hold on. We are going to reconnect with the Mr. Vikas soon. Please hold on for a while. Guys, meanwhile, whatever the query you are having regarding the Microsoft Azure, please do ask. We are trying to reconnect with Mr. Vikas here because somehow there is a internet disconnected from his end. Meanwhile, what are the query you are having, please do ask. We will take those queries and we will discuss with the Mr. Vikas soon. And guys, how many people are joining us first time? Can you confirm through the chat window if you are joining us first time? And guys, here how many people are interested in Microsoft Azure AZ-104?
yeah,
Okay, we just reconnected with the Mr. Vikas again. Yeah, Vikas, you can
yeah.
continue.
So I was talking about, yeah. So my internet is working fine. I don't know what is the disconnect. So please let me know if disconnect happened by chance. So okay. So I was talking about software platform as a service. So platform as a service where you deploy one application into the cloud where you are not going to manage the.
Vikas, sorry to interrupt you. Can you
Hmm,
please play the PPT because the font is small. Just
you
play,
mean to
play.
say, yeah, now?
Yeah, now it is better. Now it's good. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying the platform as a service example is where we deploy the application into the cloud, where we are not going to manage the backend hardware. So no storage, no networking, compute, VM. So we run the application and we do the basic changes in the application. The real example is Azure App Services. And third, and we can say limited control. So in the software as a service, Office 365, no control. Platform as a service, limited control at application level, some changes in the certificates and some configuration changes. That's it. Backend, no control. And infrastructure as a service. So VM is coming to you through Microsoft Azure. So storage, networking, compute. So those things is Microsoft drive to you and give a virtual machine to you. After virtual machine, OS, runtime, application, high availability, backup, everything you manage. So you have full control because you can put any version of .NET, any changes you can do it inside the VM. So this is the first three layers Microsoft manage. Rest everything we manage because we are not having a control on the backend hardware. But after the VM, definitely we do everything. And same in on-premises, we manage everything. You know. So that's called the shared responsibility model, what we have in Azure. So so what is important in Azure? The very important in Azure is regions. So the region is where you want to deploy your deployments. So what is the best practice? If your customer is in in Singapore, so then you use East US. Sorry, what do you say? East Asia. East Asia is a data center which is in Singapore. So based on your customer location, you need to pick your region, which should be as close as your user location. So in this region, Microsoft target is they have three data centers. And let me explain you what do you mean by three data centers. So I'll stop my full PPT sharing mode and let me show you. So now you see, suppose we are talking about East US. Suppose East US is your data center and East US. So each region, this is called one of your region. Each region they have three data centers minimum. Minimum to minimum at this point of time they have minimum two. Third they are building for the some of the regions. In East US at this point of time we have three. So it's a data center one. It's a primary. Then we have data center number two and data center number three. And technically, they have a distance of 180 miles between 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. So if you deploy any VM today, it always comes to the one primary. And if you want some high availability concept, which I will talk about later on, and then set the second VM you want, it should come to data center two, and the third VM comes to the data center number three, so that in case by chance some disaster recovery happen or some issue happen on that data center one, at least your workload is running into the second one. So that's why they divide the data center into three components here so that you can easily establish your high availability. Now, same thing, but this high availability we need to manage. So, so now there is a second concept we have called uh, paired region. Suppose you deploy something in East US and automatically DR copy will go to somewhere else, but you are not going to select which region. Example, storage. So in storage, we have a concept called GRS, Geo Redundant Storage. The meaning of geo redundant storage is the replica will go outside to the region automatically, but admin are not going to select which region. So then automatically it go to the West US. So there is a something called paired region, which automatically defined by Microsoft that if any component in Azure you built in any of the region, and the replica will go to somewhere where admin is not going to choose, then automatically it goes to the predefined location called paired region. So that's why every region they have a paired region automatically. So resource group, very important. So we create. So what is the concept of resource group is like we have entire subscription with us. How you manage your workloads between production and non-production. Let me take one example. So now I'm going to run my scenario diagram and let me show you the resource group with a clear picture as a diagram. So if I say resource group and try to open it with snip tool. So here I have lots of scenarios I pre-built, I will use during my training. So one of the scenario diagram is why we need resource groups. So So now you see we have a subscription, and it's a root subscription. And why we create multiple resource group? You treat like multiple resource group is like a folder. So why we create multiple folders, resource group into the Azure? So that customer one non-production, customer one production, customer two production, and customer two non-production. So we can create multiple folders or resource groups based on my production and non-production workloads. So the reason behind is I don't want to mix between production and non-production. So I'll put non-production workloads, everything into this resource group for customer one. For customer one production workloads, I'll put it here. Non-production, I'll put it here. And on top, I can give a role-based access control. So tomorrow, you know, I hired you or somebody hired you for one project in Azure, and he wants, you manage everything in Azure. We'll give role-based permission here. Somebody wants to manage only non-production customer one. I'll give role-based permission here. Only for production customer one. So that's why we define the role-based things. So role-based things means we can apply permission on subscription level or at your resource group level. So first, what is resource group? So resource group is a very important way to bifurcate my workloads based on my life cycle, based on non-production, production, and then on top I can give a role-based permissions as well as per the customer demand, so that you can manage your workloads. So same way now in a VM. So VM is like virtual machine. So we have lots of VM size. So we have A series, B series, D series, E series, and F series. Same way, we have lots of series available in Azure. So series in the sense like it's one of the series is one of the type, and each type they have B1, B2, B3, B4, and B10. In B they have 10 options. In same way you have D is D1 to D10. So this D1 D2 is like ratio. How much is the CPU? How much is the memory? So example, I'll take one example over a notepad so that I can show you the comparison view. Say example, I want a normal workloads in Azure. So D1 is one CPU and 3.5 gig memory or RAM. Same way D2, you are paying more. So two CPU, double the CPU, and 7 gig is the memory. So this way, you define what kind of CPU ratio you want. Sometimes you want two CPU, 16 GB RAM, you know, 1:8 ratio. Sometimes you want one CPU, 32 GB, 1:2 ratio, 32 GB ratio, 1:2, one CPU and 32 GB RAM. So that's why Microsoft given lots of option to us based on your workload. So most probably for normal workload, we use D series, one CPU, 3.5. If you need more compute, high CPU to memory, you see more CPU, less memory, like 32 CPU, 16 GB memory, So it's F series. There's a memory optimized sizes. E series always be a memory optimized where you have high memory to CPU. It means memory is more and CPU is less because of database. Database need more memory transactions. There is some sort of VMs we have only for storage, only for very big clusters like big data, and some we need for gaming purpose, graphics, GPU graphics, where you have lots of heavy graphics in those VMs. They called as N series. And sometimes we need like you know uh, 2000 gig memory, very high end, high performance VMs. So they divide some workloads based on what type of VMs you want. So general purpose compute, more memory and less CPU, and sometimes more CPU, less memory combinations. That's the divide into some sizing part. And based on our requirement, capacity planning, we decide what are the workload. But end of the day, this workload is having one part of the story, but definitely we can increase and decrease the size at any point of time. As I said, elasticity,
Hi guys. Yeah, I know the Mr. Vikas is disconnected. I think by mistake he's closing his browser where he's doing the demonstration. So please hold on. We are trying to reconnect. Meanwhile, what are the queries you are having? Please do ask. We will take and we will reply to you. Please hold on for a while. And what are the query you are having? Please do ask.
So say
Hi
example.
Vikas.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
think that the thing is, I think you are closing your browser window. That's why you are going to disconnect. By mistake,
mm,
it happens. You might be closing your browser window where this session is running. It can be the case. I'm just
yeah, I
assuming.
think yeah, I think because yeah, it's a new tool for me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, yeah. So let's continue. So
Um,
I was saying, so okay, so when you do private IP address, so it's called address space. So address space is like whatever the DSCP range you are giving on the virtual network. So it's 10.0.0.0/16, which is 65,000 IP address. So if you see /16, it's 65,000 address. Suppose I need more IPs, so I'll do this /8. /8 will be your class A address. So you decide what range you want. That's the total number of IP address range which you're looking for in Azure. And what is the best practice? Each application you need to define separate subnet. Example, subnet number one, web application. I want web application into the VNet or Azure. So web application is 10.0.0.0/24 subnet. Subnet number two, database 10.0.1.0. Critical servers 10.0.2.0. And when I built my first VM into the subnet number one, automatically he will get first IPs as per the range. First three IPs are reserved in Azure, so it is 10.0.0.4. Same way, when you say database is 10.0.1.4. And same way for critical servers, 10.0.2.4. So that's why each subnet you should have each application you should have a dedicated subnet on top. So first three IPs are reserved. That's the best practices. And why they reserve this first three IPs, one for gateway, one for broadcast, and one for future use. So that's why this networking comes into a picture. And so I'll show you everything as a demo as well. Then you see you define multiple subnets as per your requirement. You increase and decrease the sizes. You increase the address range at any point of time. So implement a virtual network. So when you create a virtual network, you need to give a resource group name, virtual network name, give an address range, and define the subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3. Now, very important, availability options. So when you have a single VM in Azure, simple single VM, you know, by default the SLA is 99.9% with the premium storage. I want slightly better SLA. So definitely you need more than one VM. So more than one VM you define into two scenarios. One is availability set and one is availability zone. So what do you mean by availability set and availability zone? So let me talk about availability set and availability zone with one scenario diagram. So now again I go back to my lab diagram as a scenario and let me open one availability set. So what happened? As I said, if you have a single VM, so and single VM is having 99.9% SLA and you need more than that. So what is Microsoft recommends? You do two choices, either availability set or either availability zone. Let me open this. So So now in availability set, now you see in availability set, when you create a one VM, you define two answers, while creating a VM. When you create when you create a VM, you need to define one availability set option, which I'll show you. In that, it asks you two questions: what is fault domain and what is update domain? The fault domain means how many different hardware you are going to use. They give you maximum three. And update domain means what is the reboot schedule of a server or a backend servers. Maximum they give you 20 reboot schedule. The meaning is when I create a VM into the availability set, and I given three different hardwares and five different reboot schedule. These three questions I updated in this deployment. So what happened? First VM goes to the one of the rack. So rack is a isolation boundary at a Azure region level. So my one VM is into this rack. So the meaning of the Azure VM is in this rack. It means when you deploy a second VM, put it into the same availability set, then this VM, they make sure it's a different set of racks. Rack is like a different hardware. If this rack has some issue with the power, definitely the second rack, second VM will be always up and running. So they make sure the three different VMs are in three different racks at a backend. And what is update domain? So VM is in some Hyper-V server. This is my Hyper-V servers. This Hyper-V will reboot Monday morning. So they make sure the second VM, which is in my this rack, this server will reboot Tuesday morning after some patching. So they make sure both the VMs put it into whatever the racks, and backend server will not reboot at the same time. So it means at any point of time, my one of the VMs should be up and running at any cost. So what are the two reasons to have a VM downtime? Hardware failure or server is rebooted after the patch. So both the reasons they take care. So they make sure at least one set of the VM always up and running. Because of hardware crash, still they take care, and because of patch reboot, still they take care. Your VM will be up and running, and on top we'll put a load balancer. So that if any request comes for the application, it hit to the load balancer, and load balancer decide it goes to 1, 2, or 3 VMs. So that's why we achieve very, very, very better high availability. This concept we called as availability set. But only negative of this, all these racks are in data center number 1. And I told you in Azure we have 3 data centers. So now if your entire data center 1 is crash, then entire all the 3 is crash for a time being. So then Microsoft given one better choice, the next choice called availability zones. So availability zones means the one VM is in data center 1, and the second VM is in data center 2, and the third VM is in data center 3. The only negative of this feature is it's not available in all the regions as of now. This is a new feature which is coming in across the region slowly and slowly, which I'll show you in the live demo. So now you see protecting against failure within a data center. And if your entire data center is down, definitely you need 99.99 SLA in case you need to use availability zone. So protection from entire data center failure. It means one VM is in data center 1, second VM is in second data center, and third VM is in third data center across the region. Otherwise, you do a DR copy as well between one of the region. So that's the concept which I explain you: update domain and fault domain. Availability zones, different data centers. So from a certification perspective, if you talk about so first the roadmap is the certification. Technically, Microsoft divides into some apps and infra, data and AI, modern workplace 365, and business application. They have some high level criteria. Here our target is apps and infra. In apps and infra, we have couple of certification track. Our first entry point is fundamental track AZ-900, and after this track we have a very specialization track which we are talking about here, most of the component, called Azure Administrator track 103, 104. So So the first role-based things they have fundamental, as I said, and the second one is your associate track. So so our team members are covering Azure Developer in a different portfolio. Here I'm covering about Azure Infrastructure, which is a leading certification for infrastructure. And then going forward, it can be your further goal will be security or further architect level. So in this case, the exam code will be 104, AZ-104, as I said, fundamental, and then further you decide the administrator one, and that's the overall the learning path. So in this AZ-104, the main component they're talking about, uh, let me go to that slide. So they are talking about virtual machines deeply, virtual networks, identity, storage, Azure subscription, resources, and all our certification for Azure administrator. Recently, they changed 103 to 104, the certification. And then Azure security is another specialized one, under my track. So I'll take your answers, Q&A. But before that, let me show with the demo part now. So now I'm going to log in with my uh, Azure subscription. And so portal.azure.com. So in the demo part, I'll show you 5 components right now. Whatever I explained, address space on the VNets. So everything I'll talk about as a component part. Let me show you one example. First, I'll talk about resource group, role-based access control. Then I'll create my virtual network with multiple subnets. Then we'll create a one VM with the availability set so that you can define. And then if we need a VM2, we'll try to deploy into existing availability set. So first is resource group. So now I'll go to my resource group now. And we'll see whether I have any existing resource group into this subscription or not. So okay, I have one network watcher right now. So I'll add one resource group. So as I told you, the main purpose of creating a resource group is to deploy the workloads based on your production, non-production requirement, right? Customer 1, customer 2. So that's the main purpose. Today portal is a little bit slow, which is. Are you able to see my screen, right? Okay. So now I have created a resource group 1, customer 1. So Are you able to see my screen, right? Please confirm. So the main purpose of this resource group one is so that we can deploy all the workloads on the resource group one. And then the second is role-based things. Suppose I want to give permission to one person, say Mr. John, so that he can manage this resource group. So then he can give the IAM permission. So as I said, role-based things we can give at three level. One is at subscription level, one as a resource group level, and one is at resource level, particular resource level. Example, I want that Mr. John can manage virtual network, only virtual network for this particular customer. That we need to understand how the permission will work. So if I go to the IAM, add role assignment, I'm into the resource group of customer one. And then I'll take my personal email address for the time being to give access and treat like Mr. John. So now take example. There are three important permission here we need to understand. One is contributor, one is owner, and one is a reader. These are the three important permissions. So the main difference between contributor, reader, and owner is if I do a owner, you can give permission to somebody else and you can manage all the resources. If I do a contributor, so contributor means you can manage all the resources, network, storage, virtual machine, everything, but you cannot give permission to somebody else. If I give reader, you can only read. So in this case, the customer wants you can manage only network. So I need to search only the network permission. So I'll give only virtual network permission. So virtual network permission, or if you want to give only virtual machine permission, you decide. If you want to give reader permission, then give only read permission. It's up to you what you want, you know. If you want you manage everything, except you cannot give permission to somebody else, then it's a contributor. So right now I'm making a contributor to my one of the personal email address right now. And that's all. Save. As soon as you save, I'll receive an email. And as soon as I accept the permission, this particular email address will have contributor rights on my subscription. You need to just accept. Same thing, same permission you can give at a subscription level. When I go to the subscription, and subscription also there is a one option is there, subscription level also. Same you will go and go to the IAM permission. So only thing is where you want to go, it's up to you know, where you want to apply the permission. One is subscription level, resource group level, or particular resource level. So that's a one part how we give role-based permissions. Let me show you the subscription and IAM option as well, same option. So when I go to the subscription and left side there is a one option is there, same subscription IAM. And the options are still same, only but you are giving at a root level, not at a customer level. Now After this, I'll show you the virtual network. Now you same add permission and add role, same steps. I'll go back to my home and I'll create an our virtual network. So for virtual network, I'll search with virtual network. So it's not virtual network gateway. I selected wrong. This is normally used for VPN devices. So create a resource. Either you here also you can search with this right now virtual network. So now in virtual network explanation, I said you need to define a space, and then for each application you need to define each subnets. And first VM IP address always comes like a 4 because first three IP addresses are reserved. So now my internet is very fast, perfect, but I don't know. It's internet is fast, but portal is responding slow today. I don't know. Okay, so when I try to create a new network, so first step is they ask you which resource group you want. What is the name of your VNet? So first is my resource group one, which region? So VNet one, prod network or non-prod, that we need to take a call. Next, IP address, what range you want. Now you see 16. I'm not happy with this 65,000. I need more than that. You put your range as per your requirement. So default subnet, I'll remove it. And then I'll add my my production subnet with the proper name, because default subnet with the name always comes with the name default. So default is not recommended. So now I'm adding all my subnets. So subnet 1 is my web subnet, 10.0.0.0/24. First subnet, web, based on how many IP addresses you want, I pick 24. So suppose you don't want 24, you want less IPs, say hardly 200 IPs in one subnet, depend upon your requirement. Let me do once again. Subnet 1, which is a web, and here what you say, 10.0.0.0/24. So 24 means 254 IPs. 251 plus 5 reserve, total is 254 overall, because Microsoft have some reservation which you leave it. If I reduce this 23, then its IP is double, 512. So that you decide what you want, how many IPs. Based on that, you reduce this number. So this is called your subnet 1. Same way as I said, subnet 2, database. Database. This thing I done 10.0.0.0. Now this one, next subnet will be 10.0.1.0. Next subnet, you see, 10.0.0.0. Now 10.0.1.0. Next will be 10.0.2.0. So this way you define multiple subnets. So I'm doing only 2 subnets right now. So now 1 or 2 minutes, he's doing the deployment. So deployment is ready. Deployment succeeded. Now I'll do next virtual machine. I click on create, select 2016 virtual machine. Because this is one of the easy option instead of going to the virtual machine. And there you choose 2012, 2016, 2019, Linux, Unix, Linux, Windows, whatever the version. So when you select this 2016, then you need to define couple of basic capabilities. What is my resource group? What is my VNet network? What is my subnet? Which subnet you want to deploy? Whether you want availability set or not, which is a part of your high availability. What is my username? What is my admin password? So what is you want, standard disk or a premium disk? So basic things, definitely. And what is the VM size, which we talk about, right? One CPU, 3.5 GB, or you want two CPU, 7 GB, all those sizes. Those things you need to answer them. So in my case now, existing resource group. So first is virtual machine name, say SRV1 web 1. Suppose this is my one VM. I want two VMs actually. One is into the availability zone. I told you availability zone is one VM is in data center 1, one is in data center 2, and one is in data center 3. You need to select 1, 2, 3. If you are doing an availability set, then as I said, you need to define availability set. And then it asks you 2 questions: fault domain and update domain. So when I say availability set and define a new availability set. So now I'll say web availability set. How many fault domains? 3 fault domains maximum. 5 update domain. Reboot schedule is okay for me. So I'm creating my first VM into my availability set. And then I pick my VM size, you know, 2 CPU, 8 gig. So 1 CPU, 2 CPU, 8 gig is okay right now. Username and password. In upcoming part, we'll see how we do the firewall things and all. So right now, I allow RDP 3389 to connect the VM. Disk always premium as I recommended. Premium. So this virtual machine size is not compatible with the premium. So right now I'm doing standard. Networking. And networking, we already created my networks, VNets, 2 subnets. So here it will allow you to pick the same network, VNet1, prod, subnet1, subnet2, wherever you want to deploy. This is my web VM, so I'll deploy in the web subnet. Tomorrow, if I deploy a database VM, then I'll choose my database subnets. In production, we never allow public IP. Right now, we are doing public IP to connect the VM. And remaining option, we'll see more details in the upcoming part, So right now, I'll do review and create. Review and create. And this way my one VM is ready with the availability set. Then I will create a new. Once the VM is ready, then I'll create a new VM, and then I'll put into the existing availability set, so that both the VM should be in a different racks. And then on top, I'll put a load balancer on top. So now they are checking all the validations. The cost 12 INR Indian rupees, depend upon what currency you select in US dollar. So they will give you the high level rate, usage rate. And then create. So that's all about from my side, I think. Shenda, is there any way that attendees can ask some, live questions if they have? So, guys, I hope you enjoy this session, and feel free to connect to the backend team to enroll for 104 courses, AZ-500 courses. So we will give complete hands-on for all the exercises, for the demo scenarios, you see. And I've created some real steps guides to do all the practice for attendees. And technically 99% I do for a corporate customers only. So this is a good opportunity to learn real hands-on for all the exercises, Azure monitoring, Azure policies. So lots of exercises we will give you as a practice along with the class. So feel free to ask any questions if you have. Yes. Any questions for me? So, guys, if any question, if no more questions, so we can stop the session here. And hopefully, you enjoy this session and see you in the next class as a full fledged AZ-104 course. Thank you.